Welcome to Dove and Dragon Radio. I'm your host, M.L.Ruscsak. I'm here with special guest, Claude Blanc. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're talking a little bit about business and coaching today. So before we get into what you do, what led you into what you do?
Yes, so I work in the corporate world for many years as a senior corporate executive in a variety of industries. I started in book publishing, then I went into newspaper publishing, and then from there I went into printing and then paper. When I was working at Quebeco Printing, we were the second largest printing conglomerate in the world. We were number one in Canada, number two in the US, number one in Europe. I was in charge of buying 1 million tons of paper a year. It was a lot of paper. And then from there, I moved on to becoming a paper broker because I knew everybody in that business. At some point, through some circumstances, this came to an end, and I asked myself, well, what do I do next? And this was in 2004. It was at the dawn of coaching. Not too many people had heard about coaching. I read an article about it. I say, oh, business coaching. I know business. I can help people. And so I went and got certified and put up my sign, Claude Blanc, business coach, and I never looked back.
That is quite a career. I mean, if you look at what I do, that's kind of the same trajectory, same path that I've been taking. You start off with one little publishing with books. I'm adding magazines and going into the printing myself. So I'm following your career path almost.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm very impressed with that. With all the authors and the books that you've been publishing. I think that's fabulous.
Yes, but okay. So you go into coaching. What main genres of business do you look at when you're coaching?
Yeah, so I am not industry specific, and I am not size specific either. I worked with individuals, solopreneurs. I have worked with Fortune 50 and Fortune 100 companies. So it's really a full spectrum. Maybe what makes me different is my emphasis. I always focus on the why of the business and the why of the person as well, and hope that the two are aligned with each other, right? That one's personal values and vision and mission is aligned with the organizations that they head or that they own, right? And that become the beacon, the rudder that brings the business forward.
Exactly. If your why is, I'm doing this for money, your why is completely wrong. You have to have a reason why you're doing what you do. It has to be a passion. Are you in business to help people, to better someone's life? What is your actual why? Don't tell me it's just because I want to make money.
Well, when people tell me that, I tell them, why don't you go and rob a bank? That's where the money is, right? So no, you're absolutely right. What are the values? What are the benefits that you are bringing to the world around you? And then the money will come as a consequence. If you are bringing value, you will get value back as well. But yes, what is the why? Because nobody cares about you getting rich. Okay, but they care about the value you can bring into their life.
Exactly. I don't care if the CEO of Disney has a mega yacht that's parked in the Greece somewhere. I don't care about that. What value is Disney bringing to me? Well, it's bringing me entertainment. So that's what I care about. That's
right. Exactly. What are the benefits that those businesses are bringing? And so that's what we focus on. So the first step, another dimension that really is very important is emotional intelligence. The very first thing I do with a new client is a one-on-one client is to go through a personality assessment. And I use extended disc for that because when you are a business owner or when you are a business executive, your business is an extension of yourself. And so it's important that you know who you are. And that's the first step in emotional intelligence. Then comes understanding others. and how to relate to others. That's the second step in emotional intelligence. And then understanding the room, understanding the environment within which, and this is absolutely indispensable today in today's business environment, because it is all about relationships, and being able to manage relationships effectively is essential for success.
Exactly. Any business, anything you do in life, you have to know yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to a life coach, what do they do? Well, you have to take a personality test to find out who you are. I don't care about who your personal is, you know, I care about the relationship, but who you are in your heart and your mind, that is something you have to go through just to get through life.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And then you have to go through it when you're a business, because if you're a business and you have this mindset of woe is me and everything goes wrong, well, your business is going to go woe is me and it's going to close.
That's right. That's right. Yes. So where do we go from here? What would you like? Anything you would like to know, particularly about this business?
You go into steps. So the first step is your personality.
Right.
Testing.
Yes. So that's the very first thing. And then I actually ask my clients to fill out a takeaway form where they tell me what are their aspirations, what do they want to do, what is the picture of success, what does success look like to them, right? Mm-hmm. And this gives me a good idea of their overall profile, their ambitions, their aspirations. And then we build a plan on that. Okay, so what kind of a plan? A plan that's aligned with their values, with their vision and mission. And then we set up also the benchmarks. How are we going to measure? Now we have a plan, we have goals. How are we going to measure that we are moving forward towards that goal? Well, we need to have benchmarks. We need to have metrics. And then we meet twice a month, at every meeting, my first question is, what would be a good coaching session for you? Because things happen, right, between one meeting and the next, right? And when this morning I was with a client, in fact, who again the same question. I had some ideas in mind of what maybe we should be covering, but I don't want to be driving the process. Now, I want the client to drive the process, because right. I'm there for the client. So I might have a lot of good advice to give that are completely off the mark, that have nothing to do with what's happening here and now. Right? So the first question is, what's on your mind? What's happening today? And how can I best help you?
Exactly, because, okay, from the 1st of the month to the 15th of the month, and I'm just picking dates, anything under the sun can happen. You can have a wonderful week. You can have a week that goes all the rail. You can have shipments that get lost, a crater, your shipment goes overboard on a ship somewhere. Anything under the sun can happen. Yeah.
Or one of your key people, which is the case this morning, one of the key people in your team might leave because they've been offered 30% more somewhere else, right? And you can't match it, and that was really a key person. So yes, all kind of things can happen. So it's important to keep the pulse of the situation, basically.
Right, and that's anything from being an entrepreneur to a Fortune 500 CEO. You have to be on the pulse, and anything can happen. You have to be prepared, but at the same time, you need a coach to talk to troubleshoot, and find a solution that works for you and your company.
Yeah, nobody succeeds today without being surrounded by mentors, coaches, advisors. I mean, in any field of endeavor, be it the business or sports or politics or whatever, you need to be surrounded by mentors and coaches and advisors in order to ensure that you are successful. So yes, and the relationship with the coach. So I work with my clients no less than 6 months, because less than 6 months, nothing happens really. So you need at least that amount of time. but most of my clients are with me for years. In fact, so I started in 2004. My very first client was with me until just before the pandemic. So that was and we built this business from zero to a very comfortable business, a very successful business.
And that's what we need. We need the successful businesses. We need people like you to take those, starting out the baby steps in business, build it to the next Amazon, just throwing out names because everyone knows, certain names.
Yes.
And that's what we need. We need to start at zero to get to up here, whatever our value is, whatever we see as success. Why are we doing it? Whose are we helping? Are we helping authors? Are we helping anyone under the sun? What is our why? How do we become helpful? And it's not about the money, it's about the passion about what you do in your business.
Yeah, you just mentioned Amazon. I don't know who mentored and who coached Bezos, but I'm sure that he didn't get where he got by himself. And the same thing with Bill Gates, and the same thing with anyone that is wildly successful. Nobody gets there alone. We are all interconnected, and those connections are essential in life. I often tell my clients, be nice to everybody you meet on your way up, because you might meet them again on the way down. Right? And life is made of ups and downs. So they are, and downs are sometimes more instructive than ups. When you're down in the dungeon, well, that's when you regroup. That's where you find your energy. That's where you find your why as well. To be able to rebound and move to the next stage.
Exactly. If you look at Damon John, the CEO and founder of FUBU, he's very open that he worked at Red Lobster as a waiter. You don't know if that waiter you're going to IHOP or McDonald's or whatever you're going to today is going to be the next CEO of some major corporation.
Yeah, you never know. That's absolutely right. Yes.
I mean, I started out at McDonald's. So we all start somewhere, but then we build connections. What connections do you have in your network? And if you're not expanding your network, you should be. Yeah,
networking is essential. I mean, again, all is about relationships. So nurturing relationships, also within an organization. That's also one of the things that, my motto, what drives me, I build bridges. I build bridges for my clients between where they're at and where they want to get. I build bridges for my clients within the organization, among the people that surround them, if there are any issues of any sort. I build bridges for my clients among their processes, their systems and procedures, making sure that those are in synchrony, there is harmony among those various systems and procedures, and they work well together. So it's all about connectivity. It's all about connection. It's really about bringing things together in a harmonious whole.
Right. And every connection you need to make sure they align with your business motto. You have to make sure it aligns with your purpose, and you have to make sure it aligns with your mission.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely vital. Yeah.
It's like my COO. If I lost her, I don't think I could find someone with the qualifications, not because they don't know my business, but because they don't align with my business.
Yes, so that's another point, right? You hire for attitude and you train for skills.
Yes.
Now, you don't want to bring people that have zero skills into your team, but skills can be developed, skills can be learned. Attitudes cannot be changed, or very difficult to change somebody's attitude. And so on the other hand, though, you do not want to hire clones of yourself. And that's the other side of the coin, right? So some people tend to, that person is so smart. she thinks just like I do. That's not a good idea. Okay, you've got to
you
bring
have to have your right arm be, no, that's not going to work.
Right. Yeah. Right. You need diversity.
You
You
do.
need diversity within your team, right? Because everybody has something different to bring in. If you have just a yes man and yes woman on your team, you are setting yourself for failure. Yeah.
Correct. And before you can find the right person, you need to find out what your personality type is, then find the one that works with that personality type, but is not the same clone.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Diversity can be difficult because we are different, and it can be a cause of conflict, but diversity is an incredible wealth. Without it, your organization is poor, it's impoverished. And it's all kind of diversity. It's a racial diversity, it's a gender diversity, it's background diversity, it's cultural diversity, it's all kind of diversity. You bring them together and you build an organization that's functional.
Exactly. We have to get to the point of when we go through our applications that we don't look at the name, well, maybe the last name. Mr. or Mr. Smith will go with last name. They work in this. We get rid of the gender. We get rid of the culture or the nationality. We get rid of all of that. Look at the resume. Actually look at it. Then do a personality assessment. Then bring them in. You might find that perfect person is not in your mindset of who you want for your company, but works.
Yeah, I mean, I must say for myself, I mean, I am passionate about cultural diversity, and it's probably because of the way I was brought up. I mean, I was born in France. I grew up in Africa. My family was in Africa for a couple of generations, and I have lived in many different parts of the world. In England, I traveled throughout the Middle East and the Far East, and being in contact with all those different cultures. It's been to me, it has been my formation. That's where I mean. I remember traveling through the south of Iran, right, at a time when that could be done, right, and by bus, in a bus that was filled with people and goats and everything, right, and stopping at a stop in the mountains on our way to Pakistan. And being there at night around the dinner, and all those people asking me questions. Where are you from? Why are you here? And there was one guy who could speak English, who could translate for everybody else, right? When those experiences of embracing cultures that are completely different from one's own, right, enlarges your mind, enlarges your heart, and it makes you able to grasp issues and problems and resolve issues and problems in a much wider perspective, and it gives you weapons, it gives you tools, to be much more effective, also in the business environment.
Exactly. It's me as a CEO. I have mentors that are in Doha. I have mentors that are in Dubai. I have mentors that are in France, Germany, Rome, and Australia. And they bring me all different types of culture and understanding and how things work there, because what works here in the US may not work there.
Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a book I'm publishing. Well, you can't have this kind of cover just thrown us out there for this country, because the culture says, no, you can't have that here.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, working with some of the multinational companies I worked with, the cultural diversity was always something really important in the leadership development programs that I did. We spent at least half a day just on looking at how to leverage cultural diversity within our organizations. I mean, I remember working with a large international engineering company. They had workforce all over the world, right? And
Right.
so how do you communicate with each other? How do you know the sensitivity to as you say, to those various cultural dimensions that, yeah, living in the US, we have a world that we don't imagine that there can be a world that are completely different out there. The perspective that are completely different, that are just as valid as ours, just as valid. So yes, respect, mutual respect is.
Yeah, it starts here in the US with the cultural diversity, but when you go out to looking as a CEO of a company and you look at other countries, your diversity changes greatly as you go into the different countries. Every country has its own culture. Well, if we minimize that to our culture within our cities, we have cultures within our cities that we have to diversify to.
Yes, yeah, and that's definitely, I mean, we are supposedly a melting pot, but the pot is not always melting very harmoniously,
No,
right?
there's things in that pot that just still are grouped together and it hasn't melted or blended together yet.
I don't think that the image of the melting pot is a good image, because I think that what we should aim at, and I know what I aim at, is unity in diversity. You don't want uniformity.
No.
You want people to be respected in their diversity, in their uniqueness, but being in dialogue with each other, being able to talk to each other, being able to embrace the other and try to, empathy, walking in their shoes, right? And again, empathy is an essential quality of leadership.
Right, and we have to bring that into our businesses. We have to be able to know if there's a holiday that doesn't coincide with our personal belief, but our employee celebrates that holiday. It doesn't matter what the holiday is.
Right.
And we have to know if there's a culture with, hey, I'm wearing short sleeves today. Maybe that's offensive in the office because it's whatever the culture is of the office.
Yes. Well, I remember an experience I had. I was doing a leadership workshop in London. And among the participants, there was a lady who had come from the United Arab Emirates, and she was dressed in a traditional garb, from the Arabic garb. And everybody that came into the room, I went to them and I shook their hand, right? And I went to her, as I do with everybody else, and I went to shake her hand. In that moment, I realized I had made a mistake. Because you don't shake the woman's hand in our country, right? And so I apologized. I mean, I had, and she was, at first she reacted a little bit, and then she went along. But then I realized that it was my mistake. It was my lack of sensitivity to our differences and the fact that we had different approaches, and so yes, it's very easy to make mistakes, but what matters is to recognize the mistakes, be humble, and try again.
Right, and if you're traveling, if I have a couple of business owners that travel the world. If you're going to different countries, you have to understand their dress code, you have to understand their laws, and you have to understand their custom, and be respectful. Then bring that respect back home when you're in your countries, in your offices with people of those countries.
Right. Yeah.
It does translate. Everything translates. Everything's connected.
Yes.
So you have your classes. Where can our listeners find your classes?
So the workshops that I've done were all in person, and they were by invitation only through the various corporations I have worked with. Okay, but people can reach me directly. Well, they can connect with me on my website. They can definitely book an appointment on the website, and that's always how it starts. So we can talk about their particular needs. What I do, so I do a lot of one-on-one, but I also do corporate leadership development programs. I do also corporate retreats. So whatever the client's needs are, we can discuss it. So the first step is to go to my website, which is www.chbassociates.com. Okay? And there you can click on the button and schedule a meeting. And
yes, it always starts with one click. You
right.
have to fill out a form and say, I need help. That's the first step. I need help.
Right.
And then go from there.
Exactly. So go to my website, click on the button, make an appointment, and I'd be really happy to talk with anyone whom I can help.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Claude.
Thank you. I very much appreciate it.
And for our listeners and our viewers, happy listening.